My next patron question is from Andrew, who wanted to know about a specific year in movie history. Compared to 1997 and 1999, 1998 did not seem as strong of a year at the box office. Of course, there are still plenty of big successes. However, the highest-grossing film worldwide barely scraped past $550 million, and the biggest domestic grossing film didn't even reach mid-$200 million. Was 1998 a weaker box office year compared to 97 and 99? Looking at these 3 years back to back, I can understand why 98 could be considered a less impressive year, but I would not call it a slouch either. Of course, 99 and 97 had two enormous box office hits to their name, one expected to succeed, and the other which went beyond everyone's wildest expectations. The highest grossing movie released in 1997 was Titanic, which pulled in fantastic numbers and was the biggest movie ever for over a decade. However, it should be noted that Titanic only made a fraction of its gross in 97. It made the large majority of its money in 98, as it just kept playing and was not dethroned from the #1 spot until April. As Good as It Gets and Good Will Hunting also found a lot of success in the early months of 98, capitalizing off the Oscar nominations. Looking at the other big hits of 97, we have Men in Black, The Lost World Jurassic Park, Liar Liar, and Air Force One. As for 1999, that was a sensational year to close off the decade. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was the biggest hit to the surprise of nobody. There was also the sleeper success of The Sixth Sense and The Matrix, as well as sequels that did even better than their predecessors, with Toy Story 2 and Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me. Other notable hits from 1999 include Tarzan, Big Daddy, The Blair Witch Project, Stuart Little, and The Mummy. Did 1998 have any of that? Well, there was not a monster success like Titanic and Phantom Menace, that is true. The highest grossing film worldwide released that year was Michael Bay's Armageddon, while the highest grossing movie domestically was Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan. Something of note, though, is that Armageddon was ahead of Ryan when 1998 ended, but then DreamWorks put Saving Private Ryan back in about 1,000 theaters the weekend before the Oscar nominations were announced, and that allowed the Spielberg film to bump up to #1. What else did audiences go to see in 98? There's Something About Mary could absolutely be described as a sleeper hit of the year. That movie actually only opened at #4 with $13 million. However, thanks to remarkable word of mouth, it had small week-to-week drops and became one of the biggest movies of 1998. This despite only reaching the #1 spot on its 8th weekend. 98 was a notable year for family movies too. A Bug's Life, Dr. Dolittle, Mulan, the Rugrats movie, The Prince of Egypt, and The Parent Trap all did very well. You also had your fair share of high-concept comedies like Rush Hour, You've Got Mail, and The Waterboy. Plus, Jim Carrey proved he could interest audiences in his dramatic roles too, with The Truman Show. Of course, like any year, 1998 did have some major disappointments. The expectation was that Godzilla would be the biggest movie of the year, and while the film was still profitable, it did not come close to the Jurassic Park-like heights Hollywood thought it would, but it can often be dangerous to predict such massive numbers for an upcoming film. Sony was disappointed with the results, and that's a major reason why a sequel never got off the ground. And then you have the movies that really lost money. One of them was The Avengers, the adaptation of the British spy television series. That one came and went from theaters and appealed to very few people, with fans of the show being especially annoyed. Another potential franchise starter based on the 60s television series that flopped was Lost in Space. This was actually the film that finally took Titanic's place at the top of the weekend box office charts, but fell short of making its money back. And remember when I said 1998 was a good year for family films? There were a few that did not do well. Quest for Camelot was a major animated flop for Warner Brothers, and is actually partly to blame for why the studio did not have much confidence in the Iron Giant. And the goodwill for Babe was not able to help Babe Pig in the City, although it did not help that Universal put it in a very crowded marketplace, with families also having to decide between Nickelodeon's Talking Babies and Pixar's Bugs. There was also Jack Frost, but that was dead in the water when they decided to make the snowman look like that. With all that said, 1998 was still a solid year, and in fact I actually found a Variety article from 1998 that complimented the box office performance of the summer months. While there was not a humongous hit, the writer of that article said studios like Disney, Paramount, and 20th Century Fox made up for it with a decent slate of performers of various sizes. Even with something like Godzilla doing worse than the studio thought, there were other movies like There's Something About Mary and The Truman Show that did better than anticipated. Thank you for your question, Andrew.